There's a rule about money that the wealthiest families in the world have never taught in schools. They haven't put it in books. They haven't shared it in interviews. And for a very long time, they did everything they could to make sure people like you and me never found out about it. Not because they're evil, not because of some grand conspiracy, but because the rule only works when few people know it. And the moment everyone knows it, the advantage disappears. Today, that changes. Because what I'm about to share with you isn't theory, it's not motivation. It's a pattern that repeats across centuries, across continents, across every culture where generational wealth has survived long enough to leave a mark. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with a name. Giovanni de' Medici. Born in Florence in 1360, the son of a modest banker, by the time his family line ended, the Medicis had funded the Renaissance, controlled the Catholic Church, and placed 2 queens on the throne of France. They didn't just accumulate wealth. They multiplied it across 200 years and a dozen generations. How? Most historians talk about art patronage and political cunning. But there's something quieter underneath all of that. Something the Medicis did that almost no working family does today. And it has nothing to do with how much money they made. It has everything to do with what they believed money actually was. Here's the forbidden rule. Wealthy families treat money as a living system. Everyone else treats it as a number. Read that again. Because that single distinction explains almost everything. When you treat money as a number, you spend it, save it, protect it, and stress about it. You celebrate when the number goes up. You panic when it goes down. Your entire relationship with wealth becomes reactive. You're always chasing, always defending, always starting over. But when you treat money as a living system, you think differently. You ask, what is this money doing right now? Is it growing? Is it connected to other resources? Is it positioned to create more of itself without requiring my constant attention? You stop being the engine of your wealth and you start building the engine itself. This is the shift. This is what changes everything. Think about the last time you got paid. What did you do with it? Most people, and there's no judgment here, this is just the reality of how we were raised, most people mentally divide that money into obligations, rent, bills, food, maybe a little left over, and then they wait for next month to do it again. That's not a wealth mindset. That's a survival mindset. And it's not your fault. Nobody taught you anything different. The school system was designed to produce workers, not owners. Consumers, not builders, and workers don't need to understand how money multiplies. They just need to show up. But here's what nobody tells you. The wealthy aren't smarter. They're not luckier, not in the way people assume. What they have is a different conversation happening at the dinner table. A different set of questions being asked about money from the time they're children. John D. Rockefeller gave his children a weekly allowance. But here's the part that gets left out of most stories. Each child was required to keep a ledger, not to track what they spent, to track what their money did. Where did it go? Did it come back? Did it bring more with it? Rockefeller wasn't teaching his kids to be frugal. He was teaching them to think like owners of a system. His youngest son, John D. Rockefeller Jr., went on to manage the family fortune and turned it into something even larger than his father left behind. Not by genius, by installing the same system in his own thinking and eventually in his own children. That ledger habit. That simple act of asking, what is my money doing? That is the forbidden rule in practice. Now let's talk about what this looks like for someone who wasn't born into that conversation, because that's most of us. And the good news is this, you don't need a dynasty to start thinking like one. The first step is the hardest, because it requires you to confront something uncomfortable. You have to ask yourself, am I earning money to spend it, or am I directing money to work? Most people have never asked that question. Most people treat every dollar as a resource to be consumed rather than a soldier to be deployed. That language matters. When you think of money as something to deploy, you stop seeing your bank account as a bucket you fill and empty. You start seeing it as a base of operations. Here's a practical example. 2 people both earn the same salary. Both save the same amount each month. Person A puts their savings in a standard bank account because it feels safe. Person B puts their savings into an index fund, a small side business, and one asset that pays them monthly. 5 years later, person A has their savings. Person B has a system that is growing on its own. Same income, completely different outcome. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't luck. It's the question they asked when the money arrived, if this kind of thinking is something you want more of. Because this channel is dedicated to the ideas that actually change the trajectory of your life. Not hacks, not shortcuts. The real patterns behind real wealth. Now, let's go deeper. Because there's a second layer to this forbidden rule that most people miss entirely. Wealthy families don't just treat their money as a system. They treat their knowledge as a system too. And this is where it gets profound. The Rothschild family, at the height of their influence in the 19th century, operated across 5 countries simultaneously. 5 brothers, 5 cities, 1 network. But what made them nearly untouchable wasn't their gold, it was their information. They knew things before markets moved. They understood how to read political shifts and convert that understanding into positioning. They treated knowledge the way others treated currency. They collected it, shared it strategically, and let it compound. You don't have access to 19th century political intelligence networks, but you do have access to something they would have killed for. The internet, the ability to learn anything, connect with anyone, and position yourself in front of opportunities that your parents couldn't have imagined. The forbidden rule applies here too. Most people consume information the way they consume money, reactively, passively. They scroll, they watch, they read, and then they go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. The wealthy treat information as input for action. Every book, every conversation, every insight gets run through one filter. How does this change what I do? That's the system. That's the living, breathing engine that compounds over time. Here's the hardest truth of this entire conversation. The rule has always been available. It's not hidden in a vault. It's not protected by law. It lives in a mindset that most people never step into, because stepping into it requires accepting something uncomfortable. It requires accepting that where you are right now is a result of how you've been thinking. Not your circumstances, not your starting point. You're thinking. And that's actually good news, because thinking can change. Today, right now, in this moment. You didn't come this far to keep running the same loop. You didn't fight through everything life has thrown at you just to stay stuck in a system that was never designed to make you free. So here's your challenge. Not tomorrow, not after you feel ready. Today, write down every place your money currently goes. Not to judge it, not to cut things, just to see it clearly. Then ask the question that changes everything. What is my money doing? Is it growing? Is it connecting to anything? Is it working while I sleep? Most people will never ask that question. You just did. And that single act of awareness puts you in a category that most people spend their entire lives never entering. The wealthy families kept this rule hidden for centuries, but the truth is, it was never locked away. It was just never spoken out loud to the people who needed it most. Now you have it. What you do with it is entirely up to you. Starting right now. Today. This moment.